Getting over a breakup can be tough. Sometimes you just gotta get away from the scene of the crime.
And how come they say absence makes the heart grow fonder?
Well, when things are going good, that might make sense. But post-breakup,
It's better to go with out of sight, out of mind.
yeah, pretty much.
I mean, I still do miss Moses in a lot of ways. But I'm also ready to move on.
Okay. Moving on. So, a new Moses.
There could never be a new Moses, Dad. Nor would I want there to be. But if you mean find a new guy I vibe with, yeah, maybe.
All right. You got any prospects?
A few.
A few? So like more than one? Okay. Where'd you meet these guys that you're planning on vibing with?
I can't be the
Hello
only one of us who
everyone,
thinks this
welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like up. Young and the Restless early edition spoilers. Nick Newman rages, video. Young and the Restless next week spoilers find Nick Newman in a blind rage during the week of June 26 to 30, 2023 on I&R. Take an early look at the latest spoilers for the CBS soap opera. Young and the Restless spoilers. Nick Newman spirals. Next week on Y&R. Nick Newman, Joshua Morrow, is still reeling from the trauma he's been through with Cameron Kirsten, Lyndon Ashby. Plus, he's struggling to support Sally Spectra, Courtney Hope, and their relationship is soon on the rocks. Then, to top it off, his sister, Victoria Newman, Amelia Heil, is forcing him to take a leave of absence from Newman Enterprises. And to make matters worse, Nick must deal with Phyllis Summers, Michelle Stafford, next week. But he runs out of patience with her on Young and the Restless. No doubt, he's furious with her for faking her death and putting their daughter, Summer Newman, Allison Lanier, through unnecessary grief. Meanwhile, Victor Newman, Eric Braden, gives Nate Hastings, Sean Dominic, a run for his money as Nate tries to take Nick's job. Then, the Abbott family won't know what hit them, and Ashley will rub it in Jack's face that she was right about dying all along. I&R is full of twists and turns. Don't miss a minute to see Nick Newman unleash his fury on the CBS Sudzer. Get all the latest Young and the Restless spoilers and updates daily from Soap Dirt. Young and the Restless. 5 reasons Nick should dump Sally Spectra. Young and the Restless fans, it's time for a deep dive into the complex relationship between Nick Newman and Sally Spectra. Are they headed for a breakup? We analyze this along with Nick's troubled romantic history, shedding light on his lingering feelings for Sharon Newman and the possible reasons he might end things with Sally. Let's unravel this intriguing Y&R love triangle together. The following is a transcript from a new Young and the Restless video. Watch the video below. And be sure to check us out on YouTube as well. Reasons why Nick Newman should break up with Sally Spectra on Young and the Restless. Hey there, Young and the Restless fans, it's Soap Dirt. And today, I want to talk to you about 5 reasons that Nick Newman should dump Sally Spectra. Yep, I said it. I think he needs to be the one to break things off with her. And there are 5 reasons that I think it should happen. And it might be satisfying for Sally to walk out on Nick, if that's what you would like to see. But there's a chance he could break things off with her. In the past, he did something very similar with somebody else who had been involved with both him and his brother, Adam Newman. All right, we're going to lay this out for you. Remember back when Mark Grossman had just been recast and had returned as Adam Newman at the time? Nick Newman was with Chelsea Lawson. The Nick Newman, Chelsea Lawson, and Adam Newman love triangle on Y&R. They were engaged, they were living together, they were co-parenting Christian and Connor. And then bang, Y&R ended chick, as everybody called them. And that was to facilitate the reunion of fan favorite Adam Newman and Chelsea as a couple. Maybe they're going to do that again. To reunite fan favorite couple, Adam and Sally, who a lot of people really want to see back together. If you recall, basically, it was kind of weird. Like Nick had been Chelsea's man, Chelsea's man, Chelsea's man. And then it was like, you should just give me back the ring and go be with Adam. I know that's where you want to be, and close the door behind her. It was just this kind of a really lazy writing exercise on the Young and the Restless to end that relationship, and just fast-track her getting back with Adam when in terms of the storyline at the time, it was abrupt and weird. But when has that stopped them, you know? Young and the Restless storylines, the abrupt breakup, and I'm trying to remember if that was a Mal Young storyline or a Josh Griffith storyline. I feel like it was Josh Griffith, but correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. I love when you guys who are serial watchers like I remind me of stuff. That's great. 5 reasons Nick might call it off with Sally on My and R. Alright. So here are our 5 reasons that Nick might do the same thing with Sally that he did with Chelsea and call it off. So the first thing is that Nick Newman seems increasingly drawn to Sharon Newman. And if you look at his troubled romantic history, he often fools around with one ex when he's dating another. Nick has a hard time long-term keeping it in his pants, but he seems like the good guy, and that's what Adam has tried to warn Sally about. He said, I know on paper, he seems like this good guy, but he's not. And he also told her he's always about Sharon, and Sharon is his endgame on Young and the Restless. Adam warned her about that more than once. And of course, Sally does understand that Nick just had to run off to be with Sharon to protect her and Faith from Cameron Kirsten. You know, she gets that, and she's being very grown up about it. But even though she can, you know, understand it rationally, that doesn't mean emotionally that it doesn't hurt her that Nick was not there during her lowest point in her life. Nick's unresolved feelings for Sharon on Young and the Restless. So, here's the thing. Nick seems to be spending a whole lot of time over at Sharon's. Sharon is what a lot of people think is his soulmate/endgame. But new Sharon, the Sharon as she is now. The Sharon, who is this benevolent coffee-serving therapist, I don't think that she would cheat with Nick while he's seeing Sally. However, if Nick walks away from Sally and he's single, then yeah, I definitely think Sharon would get back with him. Even though the last time they were together, he fooled around with Phyllis Summers, and she dumped him at the altar on what would have been their, once again, wedding day. So right now, Nick is still on high alert after the thing with Cameron Kirsten, and that's part of why he's over there. But he is just feeling drawn to her on Young and the Restless. Why and R's Nick Newman drawn to Sharon Newman? And so I could see Nick calling it off for that reason. There's also the fact, this is our number 2 reason, that Nick could call it off is because Sally isn't actually part of his life. If you think about it, Nick still hasn't made her part of Christian's life. Adam's son that he has adopted in his raising. At least, not that we've seen in My and R episodes. The absence of Sally from Nick's life in the Young and the Restless. They could try and say something about it later. But as far as we know, she's never spent time at his house. She's never spent time with Christian. And when she was with Adam, he had her around Connor all the time. She and Connor were tight. They were like buds. So maybe Nick realizes that he was holding off on this because at first, he thought she was a fling. And then when he thinks about it, and he thinks about who do I see myself with forever, maybe he sees Sharon and not her. Maybe he just doesn't see her in his life long term. And so, it doesn't make sense for him to bring her into Christian's life. And he decides to just call it off before they get in any deeper. Sally Spectra, more than just a fling for Nick. The third reason that we think Nick should dump Sally is the bottom line, at least for me. I just feel like one of the big reasons that Nick wanted Sally other than she's gorgeous and brilliant and all that. Of course, she is. I mean, who wouldn't want her? She's a babe. But I think Nick primarily wanted her because Adam wanted her. That's a game that Nick and Adam have been playing. They played it with Chelsea. They played it with Sharon. They played it briefly with Sage. I mean, they're just kind of repeat offenders of sort of double dipping on women. And creepily, you know, Victor was also married to Sharon. But maybe Nick finally realizes that he is destroying Adam by trying to hang on to Sally and keep her away from him. Because Adam is definitely destroyed right now. Young and the Restless. Could Nick's decision be a brotherly gesture? It could be a really good brother gesture for Nick to call things off with Sally, knowing that Adam just adores her, instead of trying to screw Adam over because he knows that Adam adores her. All right. So the fourth thing to think about is whether or not Nick really loves her. Whether or not he really feels that depth of emotion for her. Does Nick Newman truly love Sally Spectra on My and R? The one thing I know he feels for her is lust. He definitely likes sleeping with her. I mean, that's plain to see because they do it like bunnies. Up until the time that she lost the baby. I don't think they're doing it now. But Nick didn't say, "I love you" to Sally for a long time. And for me, it didn't necessarily feel genuine. It felt, I don't know, strategic in a way. So remember, Nick didn't ask her to move in until after her baby had died. It's not like Nick was over at his house, putting together a nursery in his spare room, saying, "Oh, Sally, you move in, and your little baby girl's going to be in this room." Sally's place in Nick's life post-pregnancy loss on Young and the Restless. None of that was happening. He was not integrating Sally and this unborn baby into his life. As we mentioned above, he hadn't introduced her to Christian. He hadn't asked her to move in. They weren't hanging out over there for game night, and the whole thing just feels like, Nick's just not really in it. Meanwhile, Adam told her he loved her. A lot. I mean, you could tell he meant it. And he proposed to her twice, and she was fully integrated into his life in ways that Nick hasn't even begun to scratch the surface. All right. We've got one last reason that we think that Nick should dump Sally. Final thoughts. Nick's decision on Y and R. The bottom line is Sally loves Adam. I think we all know that she's angry right now. She's hurt. And she's grieving, but she really loved Adam. And then we have this spoiler for Wednesday, July 12th, where Sally considers her feelings for Adam. That letter that he wrote her really resonated. And we wrote a standalone video about that letter. If you go look in our playlist, you can check it out. Sally Spectra's feelings for Adam Newman on Young and the Restless. And we quoted it. We read it for you in case you missed it. And we talked about, what it really means. But maybe as Nick did with Chelsea, he's going to recognize that Adam loves Sally. Sally loves Adam and set her free to decide if that's what she wants. One of those things, if you love something, set it free, and if it loves you in return, it will come back to you. Something like that. I probably just mangled it, but you know the saying. So if Nick lets her go and she really loves him, maybe she'll come back. But I feel like Adam and Sally are at a crossroads soon. Realistically, Sally Spectra may be the one to walk away. But Nick likes feeling like the good guy, the hero, the big guy. Could Nick Newman set Sally Spectra free? And so he may break things off with her as he did with Chelsea, as like a magnanimous gesture. Like I'm going to take the high road. I'm going to be the bigger person. Young and the Restless early edition spoilers. Nick goes full-on control freak. Young and the Restless. Next week spoilers see Nick Newman turning into a control freak in the week of July 31, August 4, 2023, on Y and R. Get a look at next week's early spoilers for the CBS Sudzer. Young and the Restless early weekly spoilers. Nick Newman takes control. Next week on Y and R. Nick Newman, Joshua Morrow, springs into action and takes control of something. This likely involves the new company he's running with Adam Newman, Mark Grossman, and Sharon Newman, Sharon Case. However, there's a chance it concerns his girlfriend, Sally Spectra, Courtney Hope. More specifically, it may concern the business offer she received from his father, Victor Newman, Eric Braden. However, if Nick becomes too controlling, it will push Sally away. And that could open the door for Adam to swoop in. Perhaps that's what these Newman business ventures are leading up to on Young and the Restless. Y and R weekly spoilers. Phyllis faces new challenge. Also, next week, Phyllis Summers, Michelle Stafford, begins a brand new challenge. So, she may reconsider Adam's offer to join his new company. On the other hand, this challenge could involve Tucker McCall, Trevor Street John. He's adamant that Phyllis do something for him that will prove he can still trust her. If she can get back on Tucker's good side, then he may tell her where Carson, Walter Belenke, the EMT is, and he might bring him back to Genoa City soon. Billy Abbott conflicted on Young and the Restless. Later next week, Billy Abbott, Jason Thompson, is in a bind. Diane Jenkins, Susan Walters, has a plan to take down Ashley Abbott, Eileen Davidson, and Jack Abbott, Peter Bergman, is fully on board. However, it involves putting Billy front and center, and using him to destroy Ashley on Young and the Restless. The main reason Diane wants to use Billy is because he doesn't mind getting his hands dirty. But, while Billy knows they're going to war over Jabot Cosmetics, he may not be willing to hurt his sister. So he has a big decision to make soon. Elsewhere, Daniel Romalotti, Michael Graziati, gets a surprise from his lady, Lily Winters, Crystal Collill. Meanwhile, Summer Newman, Allison Lanier, continues to struggle with the fact that Kyle Abbott, Michael Mealer, is moving on so quickly with Audra Charles, Zuleika Silver. And Kyle may soon serve Summer with divorce papers to prove to Audra his marriage to Summer is over. VNR is full of drama next week. Don't miss it to see what's got Nick Newman all riled up on the CBS soap.